full-scale invasion, we had a really nice tradition in Pokrovsk. We did a really massive car rally. The rally was going through 8 cities of our region. It was almost 250 kilometers, on the highways. People were standing along the roads. Here's my mom, waving, smiling, waving with flags. My name is Kyrylova. I'm 26 years old and I'm a journalist at one of the leading Ukrainian media, Telegraph UA. And recently I became a correspondent for my media here in Brussels. For Ukraine's Independence Day, my story is about my town, Pokrovsk, which currently is under Russian attack. Russian forces are trying to capture the city because it serves as a strategically important logistics hub in the region. And they dropping aerial bombs, missiles, every kind of weapon on the city daily, even several times per day sometimes. My goal is to bring the understanding that war is not an abstraction, it's tragedy of real people and their losses.
My name is Milana Holovan. I am 24 years old and I work as a correspondent for one of the well-known Ukraine's media, Liganet. Since June 2025, I've been based in Brussels. Back then, I lived in Dnipro. This is a frontline city in Ukraine in the east part, where my parents still remain. In February of this year, my lovely grandmother died under Russian occupation. To the Independence Day of Ukraine as a role of Brussels correspondent, this is a part of my mission here to tell the story of my hometown, of my family, my friends and my nation.
I want to tell a story of my city. I was born, raised and live until the full-scale invasion in the city of Pokrovsk. It's an industrial city in the east of Ukraine and for now it's a goal of Russian occupying forces. They're doing everything to occupy my city. They drop in aerial bombs, drones, missiles, and for now almost all critical and social infrastructure of my city is destroyed. All my family lost their apartments. A lot of residents of Pokrovsk lost their homes. Me and my family left Pokrovsk in April 2022, let's say in the beginning of the full-scale invasion. At that time, authorities announced that the Russians have a goal of advancing in Donetsk Oblast. And as a journalist, I understood that I should protect my family as soon as possible. I mean, I had to take care of my mom, my disabled father who was battling consequences of stroke, my 2 elderly grandmothers. First of all, I had to convince one of my grandmas to leave because she was too attached to our house. She spent her whole life there. It was really difficult for her to abandon everything that was her. We decided to leave to the safest, nearest oblast because we couldn't go far. My dad was sick, was not feeling well. Thanks to kind people, we found a place to live. The first missile strike next to my house happened in September 2024. I received some photos from my friends and I couldn't believe my eyes because my house, the place that had so much happy memories from my childhood, from my years of life, it was looking like a ghost, like no windows, no roof, no doors. This is the house where my family of my aunt used to live. It's destroyed. This is the college. The tragedy of my home is not limited only by Pokrovsk. I was working in journalism for 7 years, visited every corner of my region, cities like Mariupol, Bakhmut, Krasnogorivka, Avdiivka, in the places where I had interviews with teachers, miners, farmers. For now, no schools, no harvests, no mines. Every city becomes a ghost town after Russian attacks, after Russian advances, after Russian so-called liberation. Today, in August 2025, almost 90% of infrastructure of Pokrovsk is destroyed. As we speak now, battle for Pokrovsk is happening. Russian forces doing everything to occupy my city. Losing my home and seeing what my town becomes to look like is really harsh reality. I understand that there are no more CD discs that my dad collected, no more stacks of my childhood drawings that my mom carefully preserved, no more piano that I was giving my family concerts when I was little. Today, on the Independence Day, I understand that independence is not just given to you. It's something that should be protected and, if needed, defended, as we can see in Ukraine. And also it's a day about resilience. I mean, Ukraine stands and will stand for its freedom.
Actually, story that I want to tell is deeply personal. In February of this year, my lovely grandmother, Vera, died under Russian occupation in Severodonetsk in Luhansk region. She was pretty young, she was only 61 years old, and she spent the most of her life in Severodonetsk. 40 years old and small me. Approximately 3 years. My great-grandfather was paralyzed and lying in a Severodonetsk, and my grandmother looked after him when Russian soldiers occupied Severodonetsk in the summer of 2022. A lot of Ukrainians who lived in Severodonetsk, they abandoned their pets, cats and dog, and they locked it in the apartments. Some of them were just abandoned on the streets, and my grandmother thought this was her mission to help them, to rescue them. And it was why she wasn't able to move to Dnipro as me and my mom proposed to her. But at the same time, she was really strong. She beat cancer, and she looked forward to our meeting. She told us she will meet us as soon as possible. But it's never happened. Suddenly, in February of this year, my mom called me. It was a regular afternoon for me and for her, but she told me that my grandmother was dead. The neighbors of my grandmother just found her in her own apartment, in her own kitchen, lying covered in blood, and a Bible in front of her. This is the house of my grandmother. This is her window of the kitchen, and this is her bedroom. And the doctor said the days later that she was dying for several days. Ukrainians who live in the occupied areas, they're not able to call their relatives, families in the Ukraine's territory, you know? Russians cut all of the messaging. That's why we found out about death of my grandmother so late. And I think this is really important to understand that when Russia comes to our lands, they're not going for the territories. They're going to destroy all of our connections. They're going to destroy not only our towns, but our memories, and kill our relatives. Well, for now, in my grandmother's apartment, Russian minority lives. That's what her neighbors told us. And when they tried to figure out what are they exactly doing here, they thought like, well, for now it's our territory. And the Severodonetsk is part of Russia. And that's why all of the homes of Ukrainians who are killed or they moved into Ukraine or rescued, this is Russian apartments and homes. I want to share this story because it's really important to understand the truth about occupied areas in Ukraine. Russian propaganda and really bad media, they spread the misinformation that people, Ukrainians who lived in occupied areas, they are waiting for so-called Russian world. But this is totally not true. Like my grandmother and a lot of people like her, they stayed in occupied areas just because this is their homes, with their relatives, with their own business, with their friends and all of the life behind. That's why they are staying. It's really hard to live all of your life that you have built for like decades. And a lot of people in Ukraine who lives in controlled by Ukrainian government territories, they have suffered from the same problem as me. They lost their relatives, they lost their friends in occupied areas, not because they wanted to see like Russians coming, they just wanted to be at home.
When I see videos, pictures from past, it's really difficult to understand that we had such times and Russia took good times from us. For me, Independence Day, it's also the understanding that Ukrainians are always gonna stand together in good and really bad, dark times as we live now.
For me, Independence Day is a day of pain, unspoken pain, because it's not only a word, independence, it's not even a celebration. It's something that we have to fight for
These days we talk a lot about peace, but peace for Ukraine should be fair. Ukraine is fighting to liberate its old territories, and I hope that next year we will speak about rebuilding my Pokrovsk, not destruction and losses that my city and other cities in Ukraine suffer.